Goodman. Hi, my name is John Goodman. I am an attorney in Boulder, Colorado, and we are talking about the coming soon marketing phenomenon. Specifically, we're talking about the legal ramifications of the coming soon marketing phenomenon. Let me start by talking about why this is a hot topic right now. It's a hot topic because in an era when there are shortages of inventory for residential real estate, and sometimes hyper shortages of inventory for real estate, it creates this phenomenon where listing brokers can often sell the property themselves without having to share part of their commission with a co-op broker. Even if the listing broker can't sell the property themselves, they might be able to sell it to a buyer procured through a broker within the company. This obviously creates certain potential conflicts of interest between the listing broker and the seller, and or conflicts of interest between the listing brokerage firm and or the seller, and we're going to talk about those. Now, before I continue further, let me begin with the lawyery kind of disclaimer. I am a lawyer in that rectangle that we call the state of Colorado. I am licensed to practice law in the state of Colorado. If this relates to a property that is outside of the state of Colorado, I am not authorized to practice law in those states. This information is intended, much like the information in an article, for you to help you get informed so that you can more efficiently engage a lawyer in your own state. This is not legal advice. It is general information. All right, getting back to the subject at hand. Let's be clear that we are not talking about what I would call a true coming soon listing phenomenon. In a true coming soon listing phenomenon, a seller, for example, a fix and flip seller, might want to create pent-up demand for a property. That is, before it's ready to be marketed, the seller might want to have the real estate broker's yard sign in the property and market that property so that as people drive by, they become curious about it, and that curiosity builds up this pent-up demand so that when the property does hit the market, the hope is that there is an explosion of demand from many buyers, and those buyers compete against each other to drive up the price, allowing the seller to sell the property for more when the property is ready to go to the market. That is what I would call a true coming soon phenomenon. The property is not being marketed to anyone. It's not as though the listing broker is, or the listing brokerage firm is trying to sell the property in-house. We are not talking about that situation. That situation does not create conflicts of interest. Conflicts of interest arise in the phenomenon where the listing broker is trying to sell the property by marketing it to a smaller sphere of influence than the listing broker would if it was marketed through to the general public through the multiple listing service and other ways of generally marketing the property. We've talked about how that creates a conflict of interest. The listing broker may be trying to, quote, double end the deal, get both sides of the commission. Even if the listing broker does not have a reasonable hope of selling the property herself or himself, it may help the brokerage firm, especially large brokerage firms, and it not only helps the brokerage firm keep both sides of the commissions in-house, there are other reasons it's often beneficial to listing brokerage firm. It might help with statistics for that brokerage firm. It might help with recruiting. It makes it easier to recruit new agents if the listing brokerage firm can say, one of the advantages of working here is that you'll have the first shot at our listings before they're generally marketed to the public. All those situations create conflicts of interest that are probably violations of an agent's fiduciary duty to a principal. Now, there are ways that these conflicts of interest can be mitigated and even eliminated. And one is if the listing brokerage firm allows the seller to benefit from the in-company transaction through offering what the industry calls a variable listing commission. In other words, the listing brokerage firm might say our commission is X if we sell the property and there's a co-op broker. But if we sell the property in-house, we won't have to pay a co-op broker. And seller, we will allow you to benefit from 75% of those savings. That's a situation that more closely aligns the seller's interest with the listing broker's interest, and that might pass muster in your state. One of the questions I get in these situations is, hey, John, look, it takes us a few days between the point in time when we get the listing agreement signed up and when the property is ready to hit the market in the MLS. You only get one chance. How do you like my visuals here? You only get one chance to make a good first impression. We need to have pictures taken of the property. These are pictures that need to be classy kind of pictures. It takes time to load those into the MLS. Isn't it appropriate for, in the meantime, for us to market it to our own sphere of influence? And my response to that is if you need to make a good first impression through the MLS, don't you need to make the same good first impression as you're marketing it to people within your own sphere of influence and within the brokerage firm? We have to keep in mind in these situations that when our self-interest is at stake, we are all very good at rationalizing things that are in our best interest, also as being in the best interest of our clients. We are very good at fooling ourselves in these situations, and we have to be careful about it. If you or your brokerage firm is considering marketing property to your smaller sphere of influence rather than the general public, you need to consult a lawyer in your state about it. Thank you so much for your time, attention, and enthusiasm. Have a great week. Bye.